March 6th, 2026, your number one asshole, Dr. Ellis. Okay, got a couple questions here. Uh, Doc, I'm in New York. Do I need to come to you or can be done remotely? Let's all try remotely. Doesn't matter if it's VA or federal workers' comp or even Social Security. Try it. Then if they demand it, then you spend money for the trip. Absolutely. Love to do that. Okay. So this looks like a VA. Yeah, let's do the VA. Yeah. Been very successful at that. Okay. And then this is someone from Texas, OW Federal Workers' Comp Schedule Award. Looking for a doctor to give me an MM writing for a dog bite leg. I bet you're working for the post office. Willing to travel, most won't take my cash, understand it. Very few people know how to take federal workers' comp, and that's good. They shouldn't do it if they don't know how. Sure, but you don't need to travel. Well, maybe we'll go to ellisclinic.com, print out a point, go to click appointments, and do the federal workers' comp, and send it to us. We'll look at it and say, do we actually need to look at the leg to rate it? And for a schedule award, we probably will have to rate it. But you're at maximum medical improvement. You don't need an MMI rating to say you're an MMI because you're there if you're not in any more treatment. So what I think you're looking for is a schedule award. What's a scheduled award? In a car wreck, you get paid for, let's say, a whiplash. State workers' comp, you get permanent partial disability payment for injury. And federal is called a scheduled award because back in 1916, if you had a cut off finger, cut off thumb, cut off arm, it was on a schedule. So if you cut your arm off, you get 312 weeks, and that's multiplied by your salary and other factors, which all those formulas are on ellisclinic.com. You can put in what your body part that's injured and guess that percentages and how much you get for scheduled award. So that's scheduled award. So we'll look at it. We may be able to do it, but not. If you're living in Texas, it's probably worth the trip.
Of course, there's also the schedule award calculator.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, thank you, Gary. The schedule award calculator on ellisclinic.com. Yeah, it's under federal workers' comp.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of handouts and information and yeah. Any questions online?
Check real quick because we're still waiting on more people. We've got a dozen viewers.
So I want to share something with everybody. Ellis Clinic is not a runny nose clinic. We do a lot of free advice to people. We're not your representative. We're not your lawyer. And the people who get the most free advice are the ones most ungrateful. They didn't return my phone call. I had to send an email. We're not your mother. We're not your secretary. You cannot do federal workers' comp, VA disability, Social Security. That's all administrative law. To do administrative law, you have to have a picnic table and all the stuff laid out in front of you. Now, you can call, if I'm family practice, call the running nose, we get it taken care of. You cannot call and say, stop everything you're doing and all the people who've got appointments and answer this question. You have to have an appointment. We lay everything out and we can answer it. And you don't want us to do it the other way because we're going to get it back. So you need to have everything laid out. And so, and you come in and you demand, I want this. Maybe I will take the suggestion, but I've had more experience than any of y'all and any lawyer. And so we may recommend something differently. We may do what you want, but let us help you. Now, what happens in law, administrative law, or anything, there you are 96% the same DNA as chimpanzee. So the people who have had that are the apes. We're not a human being. Anyway, so we respond in the flesh way, and we want our way. We want to pick in order. We maybe kick and scream to get our way. We don't want to do that. We want to get and think about the duck. This is administrative law. We're looking for justice when we get to heaven. We're looking for supervisors to change their attitude when we get to heaven. We're talking about this claim and how to get it won. What's the important thing here? Now, what do I mean about the duck? Buddy Hackett, I saw him on Johnny Carson a bazillion years ago. That tells you how old I am. By the way, I'm 85. Tells the story of the hunter who buys a hunting license, the duck stamp, and then pays the farmer to shoot ducks on his farm, shoots the duck, reaches down to get the duck. Farmer puts his fill in the hand, says, "It's my duck." Explains all the rules and everything. The farmer ignores him. So they flip a coin. The winner kicks the other guy in the balls. Said, "It's your duck." So first of all, what's the duck, and do you mind getting kicked in the balls? So there's certain things you just let ride and give it to Jesus. But if you've got a claim you want to, it's only fair. If you've been injured on the job or you had a VA, you no records, but it happened in the service, and you tell me I believe it, that becomes a medical record, and that's the duck. And then we need to get it approved. Now, you've got to have someone trained in legal medicine to write these reports in federal workers' comp, personal injury, car wrecks, VA disability. The trouble is, although over 50% of litigation requires a white coat, and I am a doctor, pretend I've got more coat on, we have no training. All we learn, all us malpractice prevention, and all we learned in medical school, besides malpractice prevention, is that lawyers don't go to heaven. But we don't know how to write a report for VA. We don't know how to write a report for FERD. We don't know how to write a report for anything. And so we shouldn't. So don't ask your doctor to fill that stuff out. Right? Now, if it's a Social Security and your attorney has a questionnaires answer, and he's been your doctor, he knows the answer to that, but he doesn't need to put out opinions unless he really knows how to present an opinion so that it's real and it's reasonable medical certainty, reasonable medical probability, VA more likely than not. And so it's very hard to find somebody to do that. And that's why the map out here has got pins from all over, because we don't know how to do it. Mine's all self-taught. There's no book. So, okay. Got something?
Is not just yet.
Okay.
But let's.
So anyway, so we're not your secretary. Don't send us records. You'll get your records together, or when you send it all together, we'll put them together. Probably charge a little fee, right? But would you want us to look at your case individually and with intent and not spur of the moment? So I've had people complain about that person yesterday. God bless her heart. She came in with a complaint letter. I hadn't even seen it yet. She's hadn't been working with this. She hadn't been working a certain amount anyway. I need this, and we talk. Well, you can do that, and she just gets mad and storms out. I'm going to write her a letter, say you don't want to do that. Okay, you're talking about federal retirement system. I'm the only doctor in the world that has ever gone to federal criminal court for FERS patients and keep them out of jail. You don't want to piss me off. I'm the only guy that's ever been federal criminal court for vets, and for federal. Most of them are federal employees. I'm the only guy who can keep you out of jail. Don't piss me off, because you do it my way or no way. And so you may have had a personality that gets away with screaming and yelling. No, you do it my way, and even if you don't, you're still always welcome back. Because my duck is I want to take care of you. I don't care if you hate me or you think I'm wrong, but my duck is I want to take care of you. So even if you sued me, you said bad things about me, you're still, the door's still open to you. Because what happens is, when you go through the morass of the war, of legal medicine, like federal workers' comp, Social Security, VA disability, federal retirement, all that, personal injury, car wrecks and stuff, you get exasperated, scary, and you don't know what to do. And what you do, what we apes do, we transfer it. It's very common that you transfer your anger towards your therapist. And so you'll transfer it to somebody else. And I understand that. My staff doesn't, but that's okay. I do, and you're always welcome back. No matter how much you piss me off, you're always welcome back. Now, but you're going to have to be able to say, forgive me. You're already forgiven, so that's a given. Now, wait a minute. Just a second. Jesus told me to forgive 7 times 70. So you can screw around with me up to 490 times. Or that 490th for the first time, you don't get forgiven. Okay, obviously. We're here for forgive and help. That's what we want to do. We understand it's hard. We know it's scary. Yeah.
While we're waiting on some more questions, I have a question that I feel hasn't been asked.
Okay.
What has your favorite experience been so far?
What do you mean? What favorite experience?
Experience in doing federal workers' comp and be a disability?
Kicking federal prosecuting attorney's ass. That is just fun. I love war. I realized after Vietnam that I love the war. I love the adrenaline. I love the mortars. I loved it. And I hated it. I'm 50-50, 100%. And I am a warrior. Okay? I'm a little sharp guy that likes, I've been beating up bullies since the 4th grade. I remember at high school, because I'm valedictorian and all that kind of stuff, because I've been blessed with a brain. And I'm the fairhead kid of the principal, and he takes me to the Rotary Club and all that kind of stuff. Well, and because I gave the keynote speech to National Student Council, blah, 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 so on. So he takes me around like I'm his Sheldon, okay? So anyway, our high school, another high school, state championship football, we won. So everybody cuts class and goes across the street to this young lady's house because her mother's not there. And this principal was going to suspend her. And I'm in high school and I'm madder than hell. He's going to suspend her. She had that just wandered her house. What a chicken shit. I said, well, if you suspend her, you're going to have to suspend me. I was there. And most of the student council, who you ask him? Well, all of us were there, of course. And so then he backed off. And we all got suspension and detention and all that. We didn't get suspended. We got detention, which you're supposed to have. But he was going to suspend her. What a chicken shit. I've been fighting chicken shits forever.
So the fight. So I want to put something on the screen for our viewers here that I think would be a decent talking point. Is that testimony when the it was Majors, Tom Majors.
No, this is a great story. Okay. A doctor from India, internal medicine, at the VA here, is a whistleblower. She's getting paid less than the men in this PC woke time. Federal government is not paying her equal, but she's really actually worth more than the guys there. She's a great, great doctor. I mean, and a heart of gold. Anyway, and her husband knows this stuff. I mean, he knows all about federal works comp and retire. Anyway, so no, we're not going to arbitrate. We're not going to even sit down and talk about it. It's equal pay, or we go to arbitration. We don't arbitrate. We go to the Merit System Protection Board. So her supervisor said, let's be friends, and shakes her hand, and it's swollen in their emergency room. Now, you can sprain the thumb, get swelling, but there's nothing there to swell. And for 2 days here, that's an acute injury. That's an assault and battery by that doctor against this doctor. That's not workers' comp. That's assault and battery. But now, she has a workers' comp claim because she gets carpal tunnel because she answers all of that's emails. Now, I'm old enough to remember typewriters. You did this and did whiteout. Okay, I'm 85. No one got carpal tunnel in that system. But now you take your hands like this, right in front of me, and do like that. Straight keyboard. I can feel this in my neck and shoulders, in my elbows, in my wrists. And then if, like most federal employees, and most employees are hard workers. They're not like you think of as sloughing off. They're hard workers. And so if you do that for more than 15 minutes, you're going to get an inflammatory process started. It's spring. If you've not done anything all summer, all winter, and you got to start hoeing after 15 minutes, you don't take a break, you'll develop a blister. So you got to take a break every 15 minutes. Okay? But so anyway, she's got carpal tunnel. Now in federal workers' comp, best ever. State workers' comp screws you, but this guy, she gets to pick her doctor, and that doctor's opinion has more probative or legal value. So in other words, if a second opinion, that doctor says she can work, I'm the one who puts down these are qualifications. And of course it was, no, she can't use a dictaphone more than an hour. You can't, that's it. But she can dictate dragon all day long. Well, first of all, they just harass her. No work. What a waste of time. What's her talent, okay? And finally, then they let her go back to work at noon till 8, so she can't feed her kids. This is chicken shit, folks. That's all it is, okay? Okay, just little people doing stupid stuff. I understand that because I'm an asshole. I understand how assholes work. So she comes to work for me from 8 to 12 and sees vets. Now, Tom Majors, I get to use his name, is the prosecuting attorney for the federal government for 4 states. I just took 4 states. And so he files criminal charges against her for working at me on her time off, doing VA exams. How stupid is that? How did it cross your mind that? But get a clerk to at least look up the law. She can work at 7-Eleven or a day off, time off. Good God. So anyway, then he files criminal charges against her for working on her time off. So we go down to the federal building. Now, if you get an attorney that doesn't have balls, afraid of the government, you change attorneys. Okay. Law has 2 components. Lawyers listed this. It's prefrontal cortex and show business for psychology. Well, hell, I got more prefrontal cortex money I've ever met. I'm the most arrogant guy I've ever met, and I wouldn't work with me, but that's it. Right. So you have it in your attorney's office. It's all show business. But anyway, we're down to federal building. And so the show business, he comes in, and now in 2005, I started doing videos to federal prosecuting attorneys because I've seen this travesty of justice over and over and over again. Said, folks, you've got a badge and everybody's anal sphincter tightens up because they're afraid of you, and they should be. Be a fool if they weren't. But I got news for you, buddy. My anal sphincter opens up, I'm going to shit on your head. You're the lowest on the totem pole. If you're a federal boy, you got a badge. You have to behave. Bivens says that if 5 officers denied the constitutional rights of a federal employee, he sued them. They had to pay their attorney fees and court costs. Okay, if you've got it, you don't do that. Like if I get them to file a Bivens complaint against you, your ass is grass. You don't do that. Well, anyway, obviously, if it's my personality and I threaten these guys, that's a red flag in a bull ring. Okay, so back to this lady. So we go down, he waits, and he comes in and he goes, I've been on your website and your YouTube, and you say you don't like U.S. attorneys, you're going to kick their ass. And I'm sitting there, I just don't smirk. I own him. You dumb shit, I own you. You did not, it's federal. I have to give you the last 4 years of my trial testimony. Well, at that time, I'd done 1,580 or so. I had never lost a case. And if you read the transcript, every time I've been to federal criminal court, the prosecuting attorneys have been threatened by the federal judge with contempt and sometimes jail. Folks, if you think you're an attorney more than I do, you're full of shit. Nobody's done that. So anyway, so he does that, and I said, and so the next section, I said, I'm going to kick your ass, and continue to kick his ass. And then he got upset that I advertised. What are you, communist? And so I spent 4 or 5 pages advertising Ellis Gully. And so that'd be the end of it. Well, the VA has its own office inspector general. 2 guys come up from Dallas on my tax dollars. My tax dollars paying for their gas. They come up to see this doctor working for me. Not me. And they don't have a piece of paper. Now, we have a right to bear arms. Now, you guys have got it wrong here. If you're raping my wife, I can't shoot you. That's illegal. But I can shoot my government. It's to have a militia to fight, to take over stupid people. Like poor people in Iran need to have weapons so they can protect themselves from their government. That's just human nature. But anyway, okay. So they come up and
Sorry about
that's
that.
okay. That's okay. So they come up and I said, Dr. Beckham, these guys are from Nigeria. These are fake badges. Don't talk to them unless they got a piece of paper. Then you make sure you do it in your attorney's office or their husband there. But I'll talk to them. So they sit down right here. And I asked for their credentials and all that stuff. And it may record. Sure, I love to teach. I've been teaching since first time I started teaching in 2004. I'd done a little thing on state workers' comp and federal workers' comp at the hospital where I worked. And I thought, well, I wonder if I'm people in this. So I spent a lot of time putting a really pretty brochure together and getting continuing legal education, medical education, family medicine education credits, which is a pain. And I charged them $500. I had rented 100 rooms at the Fairmont, really nice hotel down in Dallas. Never got to send it out. Just got grapevines filled up. So then I've been doing that ever since for unions. Because in federal work comp, the unions have to help you. Well, lawyers don't know this stuff, so how's the union going to do it? So I've taught at the National American Federation of Government Employees headquarters. So I've been teaching. Love to teach. Then I said, have you read the FECA Act and the Federal Employment Compensation Act? That's the law. And this dumb son of a bitch, unprepared, I've perused it. You have perused the law you're trying to put a lady in jail with. You have the balls to come into my office in the United States of America. And I just went crazy. It's on purpose. It's show business. I thought it was bipolar or something. Don't get the fuck out of my office. And I told him about Bivens. You know, he'd never heard of it. I said, here, take that, read that. You've got a badge. We can go after you. We can file a Bivens complaint against you right now just for being in my office. And we'll win. Don't mess with my people. You think you can mess with my people? I'm going to kick your ass, and I do. I've been doing it for since 2005. Okay, so anyway, thought that'd be the end of it. Then they want 6 charts. Now I'm going to have to ruin somebody's career just to make everybody say, don't mess with the crazy man. Okay. And then Tom Majors offered this doctor $500,000, $500,000, if you'll testify against Dr. Ellis. Said, and they were telling me right here, and my chief financial officer, Doug, was over there. Of course, scared the shit out of him like it should. Nope. I don't care if you burn me at the stake. Okay? This is a Jesus deal. I'm a 501c company without a 501c. I've not had a payroll since April 26, 2024. I live on my Social Security and my VA benefits. And every penny I get, I put into Ellis Clinic so that we have the best trained people in the damn world. So that when I'm dead and gone, this continues on. And I'm never surprised at the fire deal that comes upon us or the satanic attack. That's part of the deal. But anyway, unfortunately, of course, they didn't take the bribe, which I appreciate that very much. And then he retired, which was really pissed me off because I would have loved taking that to court and showed that this man for the federal government had offered a federal employee, a doctor, $500,000 bribe to testify against me. And if I went, so it was dishonest and unfair, like a lot of things are, and before you get to heaven. So I've been a Christian, I don't know, a couple of years, and I was beginning to wonder why I'm not getting persecuted, because I thought I'd be burned at stake. You know, the early church, you get saved and you get tortured and thrown in the lions. That's part of the deal. Jesus learned obedience by what he suffered. If you've ever are surprised at something, and it says, do not be surprised if fire ordeal comes upon you. Now, if you're a pagan and you don't like God, God's going to bless you in repentance. He takes his people, he refines us by fire. I saw that once. My next door neighbor in Pauls Valley is a fisherman, and he's a preacher, and he's got this propane tank in this cauldron, and he's getting all pieces of lead. He's going to get, make an ingot and make shots. He likes to do catfishing. And he has an old toilet with a lead, instead of porcelain, full of crap stacked on. And he's full, because it smells like hot, it smells like shit. And he's taking the ladle and he scrapes it off and throws it in the can. Scrapes it. Now, molten lead is almost like magic. You get over it. It's like no mirror you've ever seen. I mean, you can touch the cloud. It's weird. Okay, so he's taking the dross off. But that'll preach, won't it, Doc? So if you're a Christian, God's going to refine you by fire. John the Baptist warned us. That's my cousin. He baptized the Holy Spirit with fire. He should have said, wait till you're 90 and get saved. So anyway, that's the story of that doctor.
Well, we got a question here from Ortiz 8878 on YouTube. I am a 51-year-old Border Patrol agent with 2 claims in the appeal process for Schedule Award, which Ellis Clinic is helping me with. After the appeal process, can I go on total disability?
Mm-hmm. Anytime. Total disability, federal retirement is totally different. That goes to the Office of Personnel Management. They don't talk to the Department of Labor, Workers' Comp. But if you have bad enough you're off able to work, you can stay on workers' comp till you die too.
Talk about that process.
Okay. Okay. 60-year-old postal worker, hips, knees, and ankles prove he's on a walker. So you can't. So he's 100. So he's on getting 75% of his pay tax-free workers' comp. The nurse case manager wants him off workers' comp at 75% tax-free, and on federal employment retirement first. Okay, at 60% first year, but then 40% taxable. Because they'll say, well, I said that's a great idea for the post office, but why would he be that stupid to go from 75% tax-free for the rest of his life? Now, if you have state workers' comp, you have the back surgery, you get a couple of weeks off, or a couple months off, but to the rest of his life, and go to 40% taxable. Well, they don't like it. Well, tough shit. That's the law. Obey it. But anyway, so they send him to 3 different doctors, paid him $5,000 to $10,000 pop, and I get $400. I need to start screwing doctors, not screwing patients to make some money. But anyway, and they said he could work. I agree. And there's a CAC. Here's the restrictions. And the post office says, we don't have that job. So he stays on it. They lost $30,000. Management of the post office, managing the government. If you would, before people do that, before people send you a second opinion, which is extremely expensive, there ought to be a rolling committee of 3 people. You got to get 2 votes to do it. Because what you do, you got your screen full of. You got to get something done in 30 days. Second opinion, second opinion, second opinion, second opinion. Okay. And so it's a total waste of money. It's just terrifying to the patient, totally demoralizing, and it's corrupt. And the person doing that, you don't even know their last name. They have only a 12th grade education. They have no training in law, no training in medicine. That's okay. Now, if an insurance company did that, Lord, take that case a minute, it's $40, $50 million bad faith claim. Okay.
It's that time. 8858 says, "Hey Doc, glad to see you're still with us."
Well, if the good die yet, I'm going to live to be 150.
Still working every day of the week.
Absolutely.
So, is some of the concerns that federal workers have really revolve around the bias. And I think it's important to note that to overcome that bias, they can go to their own provider. So
oh, yeah.
that.
But now your provider has a bias too.
Yeah.
When I started doing this 53 years ago, I thought 60% of patients in workers' comp and car wrecks were legit, 40% fake. Okay, that made me, amongst normal doctors, who we think everybody's faking, pro-injured person. But we have a bias. Now, if you belong to KKK, you hate black people. If you're a Moss, you not only want to hate the Jews, you want to wipe them off there. There's no, okay. But we have the bias, and we don't know we have it. So you have to guard against that. Okay? And just call it like it is and tell it. And that's what vets go through. They've got people not trained, and it's just assume you got a medical degree. You're walking in there with bias. And your only legal training is watching TV. And that's criminal law beyond reasonable shadow of doubt. Now, if you have no medical records and you tell me you strained your knee in the service and I believe it, that becomes a medical record. And veteran service officers, I love you, you're trained. These people do it for free. The VA trains them. It's free. And now if they're asking for a piece of your award, that's fraud. That's fraud. Okay. But anyway, but they don't know you need a doctor's opinion to win the case. You can't just send the records. Unless you have an amputation of the knee, that probably you don't need a doctor's opinion. But anything less than that, you're not going to win it. And more importantly, if you win it, you're going to get 10% instead of the 40. For instance, I got 10% from my meniscus surgery. That is 10. But if you have, let's say, a ligament that's loose, say metacladic ligament is loose, slight is 10%, moderate is 20, and severe is 30. And if you have a meniscus taken loose, you're going to have loss of cartilage in that knee, and you're going to have loose ligaments, not because they were strained, because there's too much room in there. I mean, you look like a flamingo. How do those knees walk? Well, we have the same thing. And so if you lose the cushion and there's more room in there, you're going to have laxity. So you didn't get 10%. You got screwed out of 30, and it takes 5 seconds to do the exam. And I got 30, or what I love, you have an audiogram, and that's occupational medicine 101. If there's a little notch, just a little notch at 4,000 hertz, that's noise. People in the middle of Africa, people in the middle of Australia don't get hearing loss when they get old from noise. We're not made for the industrialized society. So that should be hearing loss 61000, but they say denied. Shouldn't be denied. It should be 0. So because it's going to continue to deteriorate even if you're not exposed to noise, but even noise, but since it's and then when it hits the 20%, you get 20%. But don't take a denial.
Well, something that you kind of brushed on is, the bias of providers, but is where they get that bias from. I think is important because you are the only provider seeing patients in the 4th edition of the American Academy of Disability Evaluation.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Let me bring it up. This is okay. Now, all right. That's what he's talking about. I'm the only one that sees patients. Everybody else works for insurance companies. AMA, you lost your soul, didn't even know it. Now, the way I got started with this stuff, I delivered, Vietnam flight surgeon, internal medicine training in the Army. All great, thank you very much. With Paul's Valley, Oklahoma, small town, and delivered baby of attorney. And John Strauss said, well, you see a state workers' comp and rate them for the percentage of the ability to do ordinary manual labor. Because you have to have a doctor, white coat, make that medical determination. Over 50% of litigation requires a doctor's report. We have no training except malpractice prevention in medical school and the residency, and that lawyers don't go to heaven. Okay? So I did a literature search to one thing out there. Well, they just come out with the first edition of the AMA guides, and it's basically articles that have been in, where you can't bend your arm all the way, you can't bend all the way, and you come up with a percentage. It's not science, but it's consensus, and it's at least okay. So at that time, Henry Freedy, and I'll use your name even though you're dead and gone, because you're wrong. He'd write an operated back with rods in it, but rate it for insurance companies at 0 because the surgery made him well. That's just satanic fraud. Then another doctor would write 50% for every back. Neither one of them looks at the exam, look at the patient. So I used this little book and came up with. Let's see if I got some in here. Okay. So like here, how your neck can move, how your back can move, and then you come up with some numbers. Rated him at 19%. Now, up till that time in Oklahoma, all the judge has is 15-0. But I'll tell you what, I may be wrong, but I thought that the rulings of the judges, the Oklahoma Workers' Comp Court, were amazing. Wow. Because if I'm wrong, then they're wrong, but I don't think they were. But anyway, so the judge went, wow, guideline, 19, doesn't cut it in half, okay? And of course, the insurance company takes it to the Supreme Court, and they like it, and so my report becomes standard, and everybody goes to Paul's Valley, Oklahoma, about halfway from Oklahoma City, Dallas, see some little hick doctor. And I'm doing personal injury, car wrecks, and workers' comp, blah, blah. And I'm walking down the hall one day with my fellow Dr. John Moore. These guys have never turned anybody over collections. They're just a small town country doctor like you believe they're still in America. I mean, they're great, just solid the earth people. It's not even peer pressure, not even eyeball to eyeball. We're just two guys walking along. Now, John, if you do that workers' comp, you're going to be known as an attorney's doctor. And you will. That's going down. So don't do this if you don't like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I'll lose my salvation. A couple months went, wait a minute, no, I'm a warrior. I love this stuff. I'm good at it. I'm damn good at it. And the rest is self-taught history.
So one area that I want to touch on specifically is how you need a provider to be knowledgeable about your injury, the mechanism of injury specifically. Because on your website, you have that illustration of a low-speed crash. And I'm going to share it on screen right now because I think it's important to say the devil's in the details with the nuances about your injury and why you need a provider who will apply the law accordingly.
That's going to be hard. Now, Allstate used to run an ad. We fight fake car wreck claims to keep your car insurance premiums down. Buy Allstate. At that time, there were 4 billion people in the world, and only 2 people understood that ad, Jesus and myself. The ad says, if you file against Allstate, we're going to fight you. And who's going to determine if you're faking? An insurance company. And if you were live at that time, they ran it forever, a prime time. And that's what it says. Okay. And by the way, so I'm so mad that I go Texas A&M, took the master's course in accident reconstruction. It's double-sided. Okay. And then I came up with low speed accident that's on my website, and I think you got a picture of it now. So an example of law, and this would be good for you doctors to listen to. So we're doing a video personal injury for a rear ender, which is very common. And so there's cameras right there, and John Sprouse is right here, and this attorney's right here, and we're talking, and of course it takes a while, and then he said, now in this low speed accident, I said, stop. Doctors, you can interrupt. You just made a statement that this is low speed. Cite me a reference. What are you, is that your opinion, or do you have a reference? Well, now he's got this yellow sheet, and once you disrupt this yellow sheet, he's lost. He's never had a doctor talk to him like that. No, we're not going this. We're going to cancel this deposition. We're going to judge you either retract that and take this out of this transcript, or you give me a reference. Your opinion's not here. I'm being tested as my expert medical opinion. You do not get to insert it. And okay, blah, 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 blah. And finally he withdrew it. And I said, okay, but now, yeah, since you brought it up, let's talk about low speed. After I got to cram it down his throat. What do you mean? 10 miles an hour, 15, even 20? And you're in the Walmart parking lot, your odometer hardly moves. Which one? 10, 15, 20? So he finally has to admit 20 is low speed. I said, thank you very much. Now, if I take your chair, turn it sideways and drop it, because this is not stepping off a curb. This is not the damage is a sudden jerk of the neck. Okay. And so a rocket sled, to see if you can go to the moon, takes a millisecond, but in a car wreck, the time, its mass times velocity, which has a time component, is 0. It's instantaneous. It's the suddenness. Like got twitch. You actually tore a little muscle fiber, a little microfiber. I mean, it's microscopic, it's no big deal. But it's the suddenness. If you, I got it. Here we go. All righty. So we've all done it. Get a twitch in your neck, a little twinge, twist your ankle. Oh, get a little pain. So tendons, you're silly putty. Okay, if you go slowly, you can stretch. If you fast, it'll tear. It's the suddenness. Okay, so we take your chair, we turn it up sideways, we lift it up so that when it hits the ground, it's going 10 miles an hour. That's the height of this desk, 3.3 feet. You want to fall off a desk, fall backwards like that, and you're in your chair like this, and so now if head gets headrest, nobody gets a whiplash. But you driving when you drive home today, no one's got their head against it. No, it stops a massive, but it's not the maximum. You see pictures of hyper. No, it's a jerk. You don't even hit the headrest. It's a jerk. Okay, it's automatic. You jerk and you tighten up, just like you hardly ever get anything in your eye because your eye it closes, the eyelid closes. So anyway, so that's a 10. Now 15 miles an hour, and I'm doing this for the video. Is a 7.5-foot ladder. You want me to drop you off a ladder? 20 miles an hour, you're low speed. Sir is at the top of a one-story building when Santa Claus comes down the chimney. You want me to throw you off a one-story building? The question is not, are they hurt? Why are they not hurt worse? Well, because the car takes some of that, the cushion takes some of that. We absorb some of that injury. The more that car crumbles, the less injured you are. But it's the first jerk. And the new cars are so strong, they don't crumple. And so you get the full force. Okay? And so, of course, we won that case. That makes me think of another case I was telling so earlier today. This is a slip and fall, personal injury. A grandmother, a Sunday school teacher, perfect witness. This involves out in the dime store or the department store. And she's had an x-ray of her elbow, her neck, and her ankle. And the only thing hurts now, about twice a month when she goes up the stairs, she has a little pain. And that lateral ligament of your ankle, the common one, it's called a talar fibula that you train. But it doesn't take an aspirin. I mean, it's not, it's there. It's not going away. It's permanent. And she had some acute pain. So anyway, so picture a deposition here. And we got this attorney who is just running up a bill. Insurance companies, what you're paying him to fight this little dinky case is $1 zillion more than what you just give her money. Pay off the x-rays and give her some change. But the bias against it make insurance companies waste money. So that's their problem. So anyway, and so he starts that, and he's going to charge more than this case is worth. And he asks stuff and asks stuff. So then he starts saying, "Doctor, is it possible?" That's whatever he said. I said, "Sir, I'm a professor of legal medicine. I teach this to doctors." And I said, "When you hear the word possible, stop listening." The answer, "Sure, everything's possible. If you want to be medically probable or hypothetical, I'll listen to your question. But once you said not possible, I had to stop listening. So sure, whatever you said. And don't repeat it back because it's still the same answer." After 3 or 4 of those, "Well, is there anything you know for certain?" "Well, yeah." "What's that?" "Well, Jesus Christ, Lord of Lords, my Savior, the rest is possible." And then he lights into that in the middle of the Bible Belt. I delivered half that sure his kids or the grandkids. I'm the football team doctor. You don't do that. Gee, stupid. Anyway, about a couple months later, I get a call from the district attorney and all the staff. They the case, they brought in pizza and Pepsi, and their diet left. She got $30,000 for the sprained ankle and 30 fees in court costs because the attorney was just following his yellow sheet. Plaintiff and respondent attorneys, I can teach you a lot, but it's going to be hard for you to admit that a doctor might know more than you. It's hard for me to people listen to me in business because I am a doctor. I trust you in my life. You're a great diagnostician, but you know nothing about business. You know nothing about law. That's a dangerous thing to come in thinking because I'm the smartest one in the room I ever walked into. I'm definitely the number one asshole. Okay.
Jorge Ortiz, 8878, as continued. 2 claims in appeal process for reconsideration. What happens if the reconsideration decision is still not favorable to me? File another appeal for a hearing?
No, right. Get another. This is probably VA.
I believe this is it is federal.
Federal.
Yeah.
Get another exam. And if it's gotten worse, do an upgrade.
So
in federal, that never stops.
And then that's the thing.
You just you go back and never
said
close
previously that they were seeing the Ellis Clinic for help on this. So talk about that process. If they say, oh well, they're denying.
Mm-hmm. So you because now federal workers' comp and VA law is ridiculously fair. For instance, in federal, so let's say you have flat feet and you join the Army. Well, you're obviously going to get worse because you don't have good arches to be running around anyway. So you're going to end up with 50% for aggravation of flat feet, not caused by not the original, but aggravation. Okay? If it aggravates, it's the same as if it happened. If you had a heart murmur and they missed it on the physical, they have to eat that heart murmur. Now in federal, let's say you're born with a club foot and you have a high school basketball knee surgery, and you're in the Marines having knee surgery, you have a car wreck and knee surgery, and you work for the government, you get a strain, built-in strain. Any other system, I'd have to say, this much of that knee is the high school, that you don't apportion it. You take the knee and you add the foot for the leg, and that entire leg is covered. Wow. But no one knows the law. Or they'll say it was pre-existing. Well, that's even better. If it's pre-existing, it's going to be more prone to be injured. But these claims examiners in federal, it's pre-existing. Or they'll say that and be, it's pre-existing. What the shit does that mean? It said it's more prone to be hurt, you dumb shits. Think.
So let's round this about is you told the story a month or two ago about Charles Gregory.
That's your favorite story.
Well, is specifically is one thing you did is you talked about your aspect, and I think an important thing to note is not just the gratitude he felt, but the stress that he felt during that process, and how that relates to other individuals like Jorge who's watching, and the stress he may feel when going through the process.
Going through the process, you're going through administrative law, and it scares the hell out of you. And it should. You're taking on the federal government.
Which you shouldn't.
But you don't be scared shitless. Okay, I'm not. So Charles, mail handler at Amarillo, he's charged this thing, neck surgery, back surgery, elbow, all these things are covered. And they get a video of him taking groceries out of his trunk and walking 30 yards into his daughter. Now, the Employee Compensation Bill Board says do not do videos. It's not the job they're doing. They may be on medicine. Post office does it all the time to this day. You lying sons of bitches. You're using it to intimidate. That's RICO Act in the real world. Hell, drug cartels aren't that bad. So anyway, so I get a call from the union. He's having an oral hearing where you get now an oral hearing. You get the doctor can come in and just talk. It's somewhat informal. And so I come, and I said, I'll come. Oh, because they were going to do a video. Doc, I've done this at the union yet. For 23 years, I've never had a doctor even do an oral hearing. Now, that pisses me off. If you're going to do federal workers' comp, you better be able to do oral hearings or get out of the way. Or not, there's some people that won't do them, and they won't tell them it's available. Now that's fraud. Now, if you're going to do state workers' comp, you're going to do deposition in your house. Yeah, but I also go to the court. I don't charge the guy. No one else goes to court. It's like a guy had a sheetrock land on this hand, no injury. And he gets what's called complex regional pain syndrome. I'm so old, it used to be called reflex sympathetic dystrophy, RSD. Fingers his arm looks like a porcelain doll, no hair, can't touch it, can't wear it. I mean, he's lost the use of his arm. Terrible, awful pain. So I get an x-ray of the two hands. This looks like normal. This looks like he's 150 years old. And so I take that x-ray to the court because no one's going to know this and show the judge, of course, win the case. And I'm going to digress. The attorney he had for this was an attorney that usually does respondent attorney, works for the insurance company. He's the whore for the insurance company. Should have never taken this case as a plaintiff. So he comes in and said, we got a joint petition. And what that means is in Oklahoma, it's always the same amount. About 80% of state work comp claims are filed by joint petition. Means you get your check and it closes. Say you got a neck and it closes and you cough and you're paralyzed, waist down, tough. You got to have an order to get future medical. And yet 80% of them are closed. Got a lot of cheating attorneys in this. They're not going getting people permanent treatment. But that's just, yeah. So he comes in, good news, we got a joint petition. I said, you goddamn son of a bitch. Where do you see that I said this man's not going to need injections for the rest of his life? You have the balls to come in here. You're lucky I don't come and beat the holy shit out of you. You never send me another patient. And his feelings hurt. I don't know why I'm telling the truth. The audacity that he settled that without future medical. Okay, back to Charles. So I get out there and I've got this wonderful, and that black, I'm not mean bad, but she's just, used to be a federal judge, and you know she was an amazing federal judge. And now she's a University of Texas law professor. You know she's a great professor. I mean, this lady she's like God to me. Okay. Now she's seen whores from insurance companies say nothing wrong, and whores from an administrative attorney saying there's nothing wrong. So she correctly says, body language, what are you getting paid? And yeah, that's legit. Now, if this was federal court, I would have not been flippant. Okay. Federal court's a totally different thing than an oral hearing, which is informal. You don't even have to keep records, although we do have some time. I said, I got a good steak last night. And that's just what I'm getting back to. I got a good steak last night. But don't you be flippant with me. Okay. So I look at her and I look at her. I slowly get up, walk until I'm right in her face. Can't even see. Ma'am, I'm a clinical and social professional of legal medicine. I'm the world's leading authority in federal workers' comp. I've taken off 2 days. My wife's at home with the moving vans. I'm paying all my own expenses. I got a steak last night. They're going to buy me some beers tonight. I'm not, and I'll bet you $1 to $1,000 you've never read the FICA Act in the Federal Register. And you're way over your head. And I know it. I teach it. I teach law schools. I teach medical schools. I'm the world's guru. And you don't need to teach me ethics. She goes, tell me what you think. And so I let in. The supervisor and his attorney never raised their eyes. They said that when I left, she said, you settled this for lunch. You don't want my opinion. She still did it, raked them over the coals. So I'm assuming Amarillo management thinks I'm the Antichrist. But when I die, it'll become mythology in North Texas. And my people can do that. There's no law firm in the United States that can do that. There's no other doctor in the United States that can do that. I ask you for your prayers that you send me doctors, send me mighty men and women that I can teach this to before I die. But you got to have balls. You got to be willing to put it on the line. You got to be able to give up your license. And I don't want you, people aren't going to do that. But I've always been willing. I love the war in Vietnam. Hated it, not 50-50. I love war. And I love kicking bullets.
We've got a question here from Mr. B1000U1X saying, my Nexus letter, the BVA says they can use to rate. What should I do? I gave you all my neurological records. Says, I'm confused as to the question. I think they're talking about how a Nexus letter is used in the VA.
Okay, no, the Nexus letter is like I got a rater from St. Louis, VA rater. Oh, Dr. Ellis, you want to give us history? You look up the codes and the percentages, and your Nexus report makes common sense. So I put all the number, the codes and the percentages. And so not only do I show that it's service connected, but I show what the rating should be. Okay. And that helps. Now, the VA law is internal doctors, not external doctors, are equal. Even if it was a nurse practitioner who has very little clinic experience, or PA or a doctor who's had no experience. But so what you do, if that's true, you say, I want to see the curriculum vitae of the person who did my exam, CEP exam for LHI, QTC, or at the VA. And here's Dr. Ellis's, I don't know how many pages. Now, there's just it's not apples and oranges. It's a pea to a goddamn watermelon. No one's had my legal medicine training. I've got 18 certificates in medicine, and a total of 42, the rest in legal medicine. Kiss my ass. You guys you don't want to handle this asshole. Or Google VA appeals, and then the word Ellis. We're going to use I'll have all these reports, including the VA's report. We're going to rely on Dr. Ellis for remand. We're going to rely on Dr. Ellis for remand because the judges are lawyers. They understand the law. It's pro-veteran. But if you go to the VA, it's anti-veteran. They don't even know they're doing it. And that's bad. You put your life on the line. And I think you ought to, you put your life on the line, and now they fight you. Now, what's the problem here is Superman comic books. Truth, justice, America way. So you're dying for the GOV, the government, and when the GOV screws you, it's personal. It's different than if you had a state workers' comp claim and Manpower had some, slot insurance company, and they fought you and you had to get an attorney. You wouldn't be surprised. If they treated you, you'd be surprised. If they're fair, they'd be. But the VA is supposed to be fair, and they're not. Because they have a bias and they don't know it. God damn it. Everybody's talking about racism when we got it in the VA, but it's not about color. It's racism that people are injured. They're all faking. That's what you and that's what you subliminally, unconsciously think. Everybody does. We've all seen pictures of a bus wreck in Los Angeles. People jump on the bus to fake it. We've heard of clinics that do rear enders people into fake. I've got a handful of those, yeah, but it's not the common. Yeah.
All right. I'm asking Mr. B1000U1X to elaborate on what he's saying here, because it seems like he replied with not. My Nexus letter, the BVA says they can use it to rate. What should I do? Or maybe they cannot use it to rate.
No, they'll say something that it's just template. I don't even waste time reading it. It's just template lies. And you think the government's honest? Oh, it's just bullshit coming out of there. And I can look at it. It takes me a second. That's bullshit. It's like the communist government. Going to trust them? Hell no. Just because, okay. And so they're just lying. So you just get another Nexus letter.
Well,
You don't do it. Just do another report because you probably gotten worse.
and to be specific, is the meaning of a Nexus letter is in the title. It's a nexus.
It's a causation letter.
Yeah.
That's just a big word for causation. Like like a car wreck, you go causation, you do good. Yeah. And federal workers' comp, it's causation. You need a medical opinion how this is work related or service connected or whatever.
Well,
And next now DBQs are not required. We charge $500 per condition. DBQ $300. It actually takes more time to do DBQ. Anyway, a DBQ is not required, but it does help because you've got somebody raised in America in the American education system. They may not be able to read, but they can read a form. But the bad thing about DBQ, I can't go in there and talk about the physical exam, what this is that, and that's this, and that's this. Like the other day I did one, and the guy's had a neck injury, and he's got some, how you sleep on your arm and you go to sleep, that's a brachial plexus. He's got a little of that from the service. But then he worked for the FAA, data entry, and he has inflammation here, cubital tunnel, ulnar nerve, decrement, stenosis device, this all on the physical exam. And I point out to the raters, that is from the FAA. That was not caused by the military. And so I rate his neck, and then I show, and that's honest. Some people appreciate it, but a lot of people, they don't care. They're cheats. They're liars.
Well, Mr. B1000U1X, if you want to elaborate on that a little, and everyone else for next month, you can go to askdocellis.com and submit a question there. We stream live on the first Friday of every month at 11 a.m. So feel free to join us next month whenever we come back. Doc, do you have any final words? Because we're rich and new.
Yes, pray for Ellis Clinic. That we thought that when the God sent some mighty men and women, wow, I feel like I'm in the wilderness of David in the caves and God sending mighty men. Wow. If I was a horrible boss, I'd win because I'm horrible. But these people are just phenomenal. I would take them against any law firm, any doctor in this administrative law area. The federal workers' comp, we had this one. Now we also are, I'm phenomenal in personal injury and state workers' comp, but I don't have time. I want to devote to all of my vets and also my federal points because they don't have anybody.
Wow. Deputy's statement as to the frequency of veteran seizures is it was not submitted until after he performed his examination. That's what he replied with.
Okay.
So I assume that the frequency of the seizures you commented on after the exam based off them needing additional context, I'm assuming, and it was not submitted until after he performed his examination. Now, to me, this, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, an exam, you're not going to be anything on a seizure. You're not going to find anything unless you've got an actual neurological seizure. No, it just. Yeah.
But as what I assume happened here, based off his statements, is that you needed to clarify something about the report after the fact, maybe, but maybe he submitted the claim with the original information. And since you can't submit any new evidence after, the
Yeah, but you do a new nexus report.
yes, but that has to be at least for the VA filed with a supplemental claim, and or during the initial, I think, 3 phases of the claims process. And so if it was submitted after that, they can't consider it.
Yeah, they don't get to consider it.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily that they, are unable to use it. They can't consider it because it may be new evidence.
So you need to put it in abeyance and when it's time to add that as due evidence.
Well, with that being said,
You don't have to quit. The no doesn't mean no in federal workers' comp and VA disability. It means you just got to work a little harder.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we'll see you guys next month. But thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys soon.